Hey there, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. The day has finally come. Donald Trump has been officially sworn in as the 47th President of the United States, and since taking the office now officially, he has been making statements with regards to Russia and Ukraine, so let us dive into them and talk about what it all can mean. Oops, I don't know how this ended up here, sorry, wrong picture. Yes, Donald Trump has been making statements, and I think they're pretty much summarized in this tweet. I want to say truth. Like it's unclear specifically how they're called. But in this statement, he is specifically talking about the fact that he kind of likes Russians, kind of likes Russia, but he does want to pressure Putin, and he really is looking to end the war as fast as possible. But the part that I like the most, and if you have been watching this channel, you will clearly understand what I mean, it's only going to get worse while addressing Russia. So overall, I think we can evaluate all of the statements and actions that Trump has taken so far that, to be honest, they are above the expectations that a lot of people were having. A lot of people were having expectation that day one, Trump is going to come in and he's going to cut all of the aid to Ukraine. There has been now news that the Trump suspended the aid for foreign aid for 90 days. But the important part of this, help to Ukraine is not included. US at large uses only 3 programs to send help to Ukraine. One being the Presidential Drawdown Authority, where Joe Biden was not able to use all of the funds to get the equipment to Ukraine by using that program. Then the USA program, which is the program where US puts contracts to their weapons producers, and then these weapons producers are delivering the equipment that they produce to Ukraine. Those two are actually not mentioned in this statement at all. And then the third one is US Aid, which is a program that technically could be considered as a foreign aid program because it deals with specifically humanitarian aid. It considered like additional financing for fighting propaganda and things like this. But the funds that were appropriated to Ukraine in the USAID program were actually already all used up and allocated. So the fact that the funding will not be coming already doesn't really matter because it already has been all spent. Therefore, despite the headline, the 90-day ban does not include any suspension of help to Ukraine, period. Additional optimism is something that Marco Rubio just said, that they're looking to end the war in Ukraine with a solution that would not allow Russia to reinvade and restart this war. He states in 2 to 4 years. Well, the question is like, does it mean that in 5 years it's okay if Russia restarts? So far, overall, we've seen a relatively more optimistic picture from the Trump's administration. The only kind of backstop that I have for this is that so far this has been mostly words. I will still be waiting to see what kind of actions Trump will take. Will he increase sanctions on Russia? Will he lift certain sanctions on Russia? What is he going to do when he finally understands that Putin is not going to be negotiating in good faith? So things like this. But obviously, in my perspective, with Trump coming to power, United States is becoming less of an ally of Europe and Ukraine and is more of a partner, so to speak. So we're becoming a little bit more colder, with Trump also making statements with regards to the tariffs on the Europeans, with regards to the fact that there should be more business, that there should be more kind of independent activity. The idea is that it's definitely not going to be allied relationship. And President Zelensky has been stating as much as well in his recent speech on the Davos Forum. He outlined that Europe needs to step up, that Europe needs to recognize its position in the world. And this has been my sentiment all along. And it's warms my heart to see that it's being spoken about, and specifically it is being spoken about by a legendary president at this point, talking about the fact that Europe needs to realize its potential. that in Washington, no one is really worried about the fact that at some point Europe can decide its own course of action that it wants to go. That everyone is talking about, well, how will Trump end this war? How he will put Putin to negotiating table and how he will put it in his place. But no one is talking about, well, how will Europe do it? And Zelensky specifically outlined that it is crucial, first and foremost, that Europe will find the strength in itself to deal with the issues on the European continent. And I couldn't be further agreeing with President Zelensky on this. I think there is nothing wrong with us in Europe and United States have partnership relationship. We don't have to be even an alliance. If we are, it's great. But what I want to be sure is that Europe is strong, Europe is mighty, and Europe can solve their own issues without us running around like headless chickens and not being able to even consider speaking back to Putin and a dictator that tries to sabotage our way of life. And it's absolutely great that President Zelensky is talking about it, and it's great that some other top people in the EU right now are talking about this as well. I already expected that Kaja Kallas will be a big boon for the European Union because she has a very clear understanding of what Putin is and what a strong Europe should be. We are living past the period of peace dividend. The peace dividend is over. The time where we didn't invest in our defense, the time when we just like kind of let things play out, let US do what they do with us, with the world and everything, all of these things are over. We need to start growing up, getting our old shit together, and actually solving our issues. And Kaja Kallas has been very clear on that. She has been warning that Russia might attack the European Union countries in 3 to 5 years. And here I want to very clearly state certain things. People have been stating like, well, Russia is barely advancing in Ukraine. Georgie, how would you expect Russia to attack anything in Europe because we will just eliminate Russia? True, but that's not how dictators think. Dictators are like vultures. They're looking around them and they're seeing if they can find some kind of weak link to poke at. So if they at some point they will see that, this Baltic states look like something I can easily take over, so he will then strike at that and then take out the Baltic states. And it doesn't matter if later on we will fight with Russia and we will win Russia. No, we will still receive a lot of damage, not just in Baltic states. Russia is still going to be firing missiles all over Europe. And I'm sorry to say, but it seems that our anti-air systems are a bit shit, to say the least. So why do we need to be in this situation in the first place if we have the best possible and easiest solution that we can do right now by just helping Ukraine get Russia out of their country, and so Russia will never even consider coming back to Europe? Because actually what we have been doing so far has not been too terrible. Russia has been suffering a lot. We talked extensively about the state of the Russian economy. And now, if you need another indicator just to understand how bad Russia is doing, well, now they want to hide their whole economic statistics from any kind of public access. So if beforehand they would just, write the statistics that they want and post these statistics online, now they just want to close everything down. So obviously, if you just close the access to information, then the problem is basically solved. No, this is another indicator that Russia is not doing that hot. And the only thing that we need to do is not take off the pressure of Russia right now, because this is very, very good. But even if we're talking on the military front, just over the last couple of months, we have been bombarded by the messages that European Union is investing extensively into production of things inside of Ukraine. And we now get more that there is additional new enterprise that's going to be established by the German defense company. It's great. So we're seeing more and more production being delivered in Ukraine. I talked already like a year or so ago that Ukraine needs to get until the end of 2025 to see their production lines be really grown, that they would be able to really sustain themselves extensively. Already now, President Zelensky in his own speeches and his own interviews have been telling that already now Ukraine is able to sustain over 40% in their own needs by themselves. They're trying to also substitute Chinese components extensively for something like FPV, a very fierce weapon, extensively fierce weapon. The point that I'm making is that we in Europe can do much more, that we can invest in Ukraine, we can invest in our own defense, and we can supplement Ukraine with whatever it needs. No one should be forcing any kind of negotiations or any kind of ceasefire on Ukraine. Because why do ceasefire if we can just win? Russia is not having a good time. Putin is not having a good time. We have been doing so-so job, but it has still been sufficient. We're still putting a lot of pressure on Russia. Don't take off the pressure. Support Ukraine. Support the Ukrainian armed forces. Participate in our fundraiser. We're already over 104,000 in getting the vehicles to Ukrainian unmanned system forces. Participate in this. Trust in Ukrainian armed forces. I love you guys, and I will see you next time.